What's up and welcome back to the We Are Investing channel, a channel that's dedicated in investing and personal finance. On this video, we're going to be talking about the Airbnb IPO, which I'm super excited for. We are going to talk about whether or not I think the stock is a buy right at the IPO opening, whether or not I plan to invest or trade or do both for this stock, and what my overall thoughts are when it comes to Airbnb as a company and as a stock. So if that interests you, then this is the video for you. Now, before we proceed into the video, please consider hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, and smashing that like button. Turn that baby blue. It goes a long way in helping the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. And also, if you join the Patreon page, you will be notified if I make any investment or trades for Airbnb. I notify all members of the Patreon page as soon as I make any trade or investment. Check out the links that I am providing in the video description down below. So we all know that Airbnb is in the business of hospitality. Very similar to hotels, but yet very different because you are not staying at a hotel, you're staying at someone's private property. Now, these properties can be very unique. They can be tiny homes, they can be extravagant homes, they can be homes of any type. And they provide a different level of comfort because you are not at a hotel, you do not have to deal with other people. And that makes it ideal for a time like now where we are trying to social distance ourselves. And that is why Airbnb's business has not been completely ruined by this pandemic like some other hotel chains, because they offer this level of comfort in areas all across the world. You can seek a remote destination in the mountains, on a beach, where you are isolated and you do not have to worry about catching the illness. Now, I have to say illness because YouTube would demonetize my video if I said the magic word. So whenever I refer to the illness, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, Airbnb is a very unique business. And what you need to know is how Airbnb makes their money. Because they do not own the property, they make their money off of the fee for the transaction, which is processed through Airbnb. Now, there are three different fee structures that I want to talk about. The first and the most common is your individual host, where 3% of the rental fee on the host side is collected by Airbnb, and 6 to 12% of the rental on the guest side is collected by Airbnb. That number varies depending on the length of your stay. Now, Airbnb also has their professional host option where the host pays all the fees, and those fees are 14% of the rental. The guest in this situation does not have any fees. Now, this is relatively new to Airbnb, so we'll see how this plays out with their revenue and their bottom line moving forward in the upcoming earnings reports. Now, Airbnb also has their experiences, and we're going to dive more into this business segment later in this video because I think it's very important and very unique. But for their experiences, Airbnb collects 20% of the transaction in a fee. Now, experiences is something that Airbnb is very bullish on, and it's an avenue where they think they can really tap into revenue growth. They think that they can expand their experience business, help the top and bottom line for Airbnb. They're putting a lot of effort into their experiences. And just this year, Airbnb brought in a Disney theme park hand to run experiences ahead of its IPO. The former Disney executive Catherine Powell joined Airbnb as head of Airbnb Experiences. Now, this is something very unique to Airbnb. Hotel chains cannot offer this kind of business, this kind of experience. So this, in theory, will increase the total addressable market for Airbnb and help with their revenues. Now, let's talk about the IPO. Let's talk about the general details for the initial public offering. The ticker for this stock is going to be ABNB. And this stock is expected to start trading on December 10th. There will be roughly 601 million shares outstanding when the IPO launches. And the IPO is expected to launch at a share price between $44 and $50. So the total valuation at the IPO, when you consider the shares outstanding, the stock options, and the restricted shares, is around $35 billion on the high end. So really what you need to consider here is the valuation and the share price, and if you're comfortable with those two to open up an investment. However, I do want to warn you that with IPOs, typically it's very hard to get into that IPO price because there is a pop as soon as it opens, and it's very hard as a retail investor to get in right before that pop because those shares are usually reserved for people with a lot more money, including institutional investors. Now, we talked about how the illness is impacting Airbnb, and it's also impacting other hotel chains, airlines, vacations, all together are being impacted by the illness. However, Airbnb is starting to see a recovery. Their revenues are starting to increase again, and they are starting to get some of their bookings back. Now, if you look at this chart, and I'm sorry for the quality, this is being pulled from Airbnb's S1, and the quality is just not that good. But if you look at this chart, you can see that they had gross booking value of $8.5 billion in quarter 4 of 2019. That dropped to 6.8 in quarter 1. That dropped a lot in quarter 2 2020 when we were in the midst of this illness at $3.2 billion. And then their most recent quarter, they saw an increase of $8 billion. So that decrease in quarter 1 and quarter 2 has to do with the illness. Now remember, Airbnb is a global company. They have sites all across the world. So even though America was dealing with the illness mostly in quarter 2 of 2020, there were other areas that were dealing with the illness before then as well. Now, one last thing that I want to talk about before we get into my final thoughts, if I'm going to buy, all of that good stuff, is I want to talk about some risk factors for Airbnb. Now, the biggest risk that they have, in my personal opinion, as a company, is the regulations that they have to fight. Very similar to a company like Uber that has to deal with regulations from city council and also taxi companies lobbying against them. Now, Airbnb has to deal with regulations from city council as well from the zoning board. Some towns do not want residents renting out their properties as short-term rentals, and they have to face battles with the zoning board and regulations in the zoning ordinance. Now also, Airbnb is a huge threat to hotel companies, so they are lobbying hard against Airbnb. Airbnb has to fight these battles, but in my personal opinion, just like I think with Uber, they are going to win these battles because they provide a better experience, a better product at a better value, and it's better for the overall market. It's going to help stem growth in these communities that have these short-term rentals where people can go and vacation and have a better experience. And if they are saving a little bit of money in their hospitality, then they can spend that money in the surrounding areas, drive up the economy of the surrounding areas, and also the property owners that are benefiting from these stays can also spend their money and give it back to the economy. So overall, I think the business model is very good. I think it is very good for the economy overall, and I like the business, which is a perfect way to lead into the final topic, my final thoughts when it comes to Airbnb. Now, Airbnb, in my honest opinion, is a great company. They are a leader in what they do. They are taking market share away from hotel companies, and they're pretty much unmatched in what they do. And I love investing in companies that are the best at what they do. Airbnb is very similar to Tesla in the regard that Tesla is the leader in the EV segment. This company is very similar to Amazon in the regard that Amazon is the leader on online shopping and distribution. This company is a leader, and I like investing in leaders. So with that being said, I do plan to invest in Airbnb. The question here is, do I invest in this company at the IPO? I typically do not invest in companies when they open up the IPO because there is a lot of volatility and you can lose a lot of money real quick. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that Airbnb is going to have a successful IPO and we're going to see the share price increase. So I will open up a position. I'm going to make an exception for Airbnb because they are a leader in what they do and I just think they're too good of a business to pass up. But I'm going to keep my position small. I'm only going to enter in about 10% of what I want to invest all together in Airbnb at the IPO open because there's going to be a lot of volatility. I want to be able to capitalize if there is a drop in the share price, which could be very likely to happen. Now, I also will continue to add to this position as the opportunities present themselves. When we see pullbacks in the share price, I will add to my Airbnb position. Now, Airbnb, in my personal opinion, I think they have the ability to 2x your money within the next 12 to 18 months and maybe even 5x it over the next couple years. I think this company is rock solid. I think this is a leader in what they do, and it is a very interesting stock and a very interesting investment that I think is going to give you rewards over the long term. So with all that being said, I do plan to invest in Airbnb and I will trade it when the opportunities present themselves. However, I will not trade this stock until after its IPO lockup, which is usually 180 days after the IPO pricing. Because of the lockup, there's going to be additional volatility, and once the lockup is through, we will get a better idea of the charts and it would be an easier way to trade. So with all that being said, let me know in the comments down below what you plan to do with Airbnb. Now that wraps it up for this video, guys. If you like this video and the content that I am providing, please consider hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, and smashing that like button. Also, don't forget there are links in the video description down below that can help you be a better investor. We've got the Facebook group, the Discord server where we talk stocks on the daily, and the Patreon page, which is the best way to show your love for this channel. And I notify Patreon members as soon as I make any trade or investment so that you can follow me in real time. Now, with all that being said, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun, and this is We Are Investing, and together we are invincible. See ya!